We out here on Assin. What's up, my dudes? So, I wanted to let some of you guys out there know that I do not hate Milestone. I do not have anything against Milestone. Ever since I've ever made any sort of video where I was saying something negative about Milestone motocross games, there has been people that have came up with this sort of thing in their head that I had this agenda to like shut down Milestone games, or I just hate Milestone games, or I'm like this, I'm so attached to Reflex that I can't accept anything else, like I'm so in love with the OG MX versus ATV games that I hate anything that Milestone will ever come out with. I hate them. That's what there's a lot of people out there that think that. And I'm just telling you guys, it couldn't be any farther from the truth. That has nothing to do with it. I just want better motocross games, period. I don't care who makes them. It don't have anything to do with who's making it. I mean, anybody could come out with any motocross game, and I'm going to look at it from a non-biased standpoint. I'm going to look at it like, how is the gameplay? How is the actual game itself, not who made the game. It has nothing to do with that, man. Promise you, it's not like that at all. Like this new LCQ Studios motocross game that's coming out, if that's a really good game, I'm going to go in there and tell you, this is an awesome game. I'm not going to be like, telling you negative things about it just because I love MX Simulator and it's like, it's trying to compete with MX Simulator. I wouldn't do that, man. It's not like that. I mean, some people get that impression, but it's never ever been like that. Like, I just want more games to be like Reflex because I love Reflex. It's not that I love just THQ and all those Rainbow Studios. It's not like that, man. I love the way Reflex felt in a gameplay sense. That's why I want more motocross games to be like that. And to give you an example right here, I want not only the Milestone motocross games to be more like that, but the freaking MX vs. ATV current games to be more like that. Like, I want MX vs. ATV All Out to be more like Reflex, not just the official Monster Energy Supercross game to be more like Reflex. You see what I'm saying? I want both of them to be more like Reflex. So it's about the gameplay, and I think it comes down to what kind of motocross gaming fan you are. Like, what do you like more in these games? That's really what it is, because if you like graphics, like if that's a big deal to you and you love going in there and having, everything being replicated tracks and a replicated year of a certain series and replicated gear and all that kind of stuff, then these Milestone motocross games are probably your kind of game. You see what I'm saying? The reason why it's always seemed like I've been a little bit more against these games is because it's just simply the things that they do well in the motocross games just happen to be the things that I don't really care so much about in motocross games. It's just that simple. Like, has nothing to do with Milestone. It's the fact that I'm more of a jump lover. I'm more of a, actually having different lines and rhythms to hit and hard jumps to hit and stuff where you can separate yourself in the air. And I don't really care so much about the graphics. I mean, it's cool and all, but it's not like a game changer for me. It's not all that big of a deal to me to have amazing graphics in a motocross game. It's just not like that. And, I enjoy fantasy style tracks. Even though I do love replica tracks, I do like when a motocross game comes out and it's got brand new tracks on it that you've never even seen before, instead of like, copied tracks from older replica years and stuff. And I realize that's what the game is. Like, I understand that, but I'm just telling you my own personal preference and opinion on it. Like, I'm more of a fan of like having brand spanking new tracks instead of like old replicated tracks. That's just my own personal opinion on that. So that's why I've always kind of leaned more towards some of these other motocross games out there versus the Milestone games and stuff. It's just because of the type of game, the type of motocross game that it is. That's why it's always been like that for me. But it's not like I just hate Milestone, man. It really isn't. I mean, I went in there and told you on my MXGP Pro review, I felt like the ground physics are actually decent in MXGP Pro. I feel like they made a fairly good improvement over some of the past games, but I just felt like the way the whips felt and the air physics weren't really all that impressive, and that's the way I felt about that. But it's not me over here just hating on Milestone, trying to say that their games are terrible just because You know, I want to hate every single thing that Milestone does, and nothing can come close to MX Simulator or what. It ain't like that, dude. Like, I get it's an arcade motocross game. I get that they're trying to make it for a lot of different types of people out there, but Reflex was that way too, and it was still as amazing as it was, you know. But I guess with Reflex, it just set the damn bar so high. It really did, and that was the first. I mean, I had played some of the older MXers ATV games, but Reflex was the first one that I really like hardcore every night got into to that extent. So I guess in my mind, it was kind of like, I guess I just started to expect games like Reflex. Like, I was thinking, you know, the game after Reflex, well, it's just got to be better than Reflex, right? So it's going to be sick. That's just what your standard mind would think like that. But then they came out with Alive. They came out with, you know, MXers ATV, Supercross, and Encore. Shit just went downhill like I've never seen before. So then it was like, now I'm looking back at Reflex and everything that it did really well and trying to compare things back to that. And Milestone has just always been a different kind of animal, dude. It's a different kind of motocross game. And if you know both of those kind of games, you would realize that. Like, it's just different, dude. And that's all there is to it. I mean, if let's just say the next Milestone motocross game comes out and the in-air physics are amazing, the jump rhythms are amazing, tons of skill gap on that, the game is just, you know, it's incredible, then I'll come out and tell you that's an awesome game. Like, I'm not just going to try to act like it's bad just because I feel like Reflex is the only motocross game that's good out there and stuff like that. It ain't like that. I feel like one aspect to it is the fact that Milestone was basically the only motocross gaming company out there for a cold minute. They really were. So it was like, if you weren't defending Milestone, there was nothing to defend because there was no other motocross games. So it was kind of like, a lot of people looked at it like I was being ungrateful, like I was just mad at Milestone, trying to critique every little thing. And a lot of people looked at it like, just be happy you're getting a motocross game, right? Listen, I'm happy. I am jumping for joy like a little giddy teenager boy over any motocross game. That's how much I love this shit. I mean, I love every motocross game that's ever came out in the history of ever. I love it to a, like, in a motocross gaming lover type of sense. Do you get what I'm saying? I love it in a sense of, like, I love that there's motocross games coming out. I love that there's still, you know, companies trying to do this. It has nothing to do with that. It's just me critiquing it and trying to criticize it in a way to where it's just making the game better. I'm just trying to make it more like I feel like a arcade motocross game should be. That's all there is to it. Ain't got nothing to do with hate on Milestone. A lot of people get that impression, man. It ain't like that. Like I've said from day one, Milestone motocross game graphics are amazing. You know, some of their corner physics elements to their games are pretty good. Stuff like that. I've always said that in the past, but you know, people love to take the things that you say negatively and completely forget about everything that you've said positively about it. You know, they like to just totally somehow magically erase that from their mind, but that's not the case. Just wanted to come make this video, let people know there ain't no hate on Milestone in that sense. There ain't no hate on MX versus ATV, you know, series in that sense, or any motocross game company out there for that matter. It's not has nothing to really even do with the company. It really doesn't. It's, did you make a good motocross game or did you not make a good motocross game? In my opinion. See, that's how you got to look at it. It's my opinion. It's okay if you have a different opinion. It's okay if you love this more than you love Reflex. Like, that's fine. I don't know how you would think that, but that doesn't take away from the fact that you're allowed to have your own opinion about that. But to go in there and act like I just hate the company because I say something negative about the game, that's going too far when you start acting like that. I mean, there is some people out there that do think a lot like that. They get so biased into a certain company or a certain franchise, and then they're like totally blinded to everything else. I get that, but it ain't like that with me, man. I've played just such a plethora of different motocross games. And, you know, I love MX Simulator because it's an amazing game. I love Reflex because it's an amazing game. It's not like I'm just stuck out here on Reflex only because that's the only game I like and everything else sucks. It's just, it's because I feel like the gameplay and how those games actually felt was the best of any motocross game. That's why I love those games and compare things back to those games, because that's the way I felt about those games. It has nothing to do with the the companies behind them, who created it. It ain't biased in that type of sense. You get what I'm saying? I just love the way those games feel. They feel the best to me. So either way, appreciate you guys watching all the videos. Later, dudes.